Good afternoon and welcome to Black Pig Printmaking Studios here in Frome in Somerset in the UK. This is a bit of a special one I'm going to do today because I'm going to attempt to take you through the entire studio bit by bit, because what happens is when I go to anybody else's studio, I'm on the lookout, I'm on the rob for ideas all the time. If I can pass anything of that on to you lot, then that's just fantastic. Are we recording, by the way? Oh, we are, good. Right, so come over here. First of all, this is the sink, which is fucking disgusting, but look here. This is something, this was a fantastic find. You can get these little tappy things that, if you can see there, regulates the temperature, so you get hot water just from this little cylinder here. That was a bit of a game changer. That was a fantastic thing. So we've got hot water for people to wash their hands and so on and so forth. That's good. This is coffee grounds for you to mix with soap to wash your hands. Incredibly effective. CNT stuff. Sarah Godsill, who is our camera person today, that's a picture of her. This is the black pig. This is the the gimpy looking black pig that gives Black Pig its name. The entrance. I have to have books everywhere. Books are the rudder that steers our ship, and I'm relying on them all the time. So when you're teaching, if you can hoik out a book that gives an example to somebody, it's a fantastic thing. This lectern is misused, as you can see. It's full of all sorts of shit. Now, the thing is what I've done is, because I've actually managed to get somebody to act as camera person today, the place is a total pigsty. It's just left after a day's work. So what you see is what you get. This is what it looks like at the end of the day. All right. So bear with me with that. So this is a lovely 1850s mahogany lectern. I have 3 plan chests and I use them all, and they're all pretty much full. Not necessarily with work. We've got all of our stock in here as well, and so on. There's millions of things that go into a plan chest. If you're thinking about building your own studio, then you've got to factor these things in. This studio here, I designed myself. I made little models and passed an LED over the windows to see where the light would go during the day, which is important. It's south facing, because we live in the UK and we need all the help we can get. Let me tell you that right now. I believe in plants. They're all looking a bit manky at the moment, but I do my best with plants because they help to make the atmosphere of a place better. First plan chest. This one here is what we call a dry prep area. So this is for preparing paper. So you never have wet prints in this bit here, although people do all the time, of course, and I tell them off, blah blah. These 2 gooseneck LEDs are positioned to give a raking light on paper. When you fold it, when you're cutting up paper, you have to fold it and you nip it there and you nip it there, and so when you know where you can so that you know where the straight edge is going to go, you need a raking light to see that properly. Have you got your finger over one of the lenses there? No, is it all okay? It's all good. Right, okay. So that's that. These windows were salvage windows. They're Crittall windows, because it just doesn't look. Great big plate glass windows just don't look as good. And I'm not so kinky about modernism as some people. I like something that looks a bit old school, so that's why they are what they are. This is the first press, okay. This is a reed press from Catalonia. The first press I bought when I moved to Cordoba in Spain. This person here is my friend Anne Havard, who is the person who gave me the money to buy this press. So she's long dead, but I keep her picture there in memory of her and to salute her every day. I think it's important to do that, is to tip your hat to the people who are no longer here with us. Underneath this press, you don't need to zoom in for that, is a dehumidifier, because we keep the temperature or the humidity, this is really important, now I've just looked at it and starting to panic slightly, has to be 55 or under, and this is 58, so I'm going to have to turn the dehumidifier on in a minute. This is really important, folks, because if your studio is too humid, then your paper will start to, well, it will fuck up, eventually it will just rot on you. So you really, really need to keep it under 55 degrees humidity. Sometimes when I'm sort of like idly picking my nose and looking out the window, I'll look at a book or something, and if I see that the paper's wavy, I think, oh my God, and I haven't checked. And yeah, so check on it daily actually, to check that your humidity's okay. All right, moving on. Second plan chest, mixture of all the above. These plan chests date from the 1950s. They're quite valuable actually, and absolutely essential to me. This is the first nipping press. It's a gorgeous looking thing, isn't it? This one's called Peter Holland, after its original owner, Peter Holland. He was a wood engraver, an amateur. We use these presses for wood engraving. This is a little pot of whiting, because if you get dabs of ink on your bed or something like that, anywhere where you don't want it, a little dab of this stuff will neutralize the ink. Here we are, zooming in on that. You are good. These are for white spirit or turpentine if you can afford it, although white spirit is actually better for the environment, I found out. Isn't that weird? Or better for the environment in here. They're less harmful to inhale. I fucking hate the smell of this stuff. And it was one of the worst things about moving back to this country, was having to switch back to white spirit. Because in Spain, turpentine, trementina, aguaras, is as cheap as white spirit is in this country. And it's so much more delicious to smell. But actually, in terms of the harm it does to the environment and your body, is worse, which is strange because it's a natural product. The things you learn. Here are a couple of Indian textile blocks. This one I use all the time for a variety of things. It's very good. Those vases are there for flowers, because you've got to have flowers in a studio. It's very important to just make the atmosphere. Look, actually, this is one of the big points about the whole thing, about having a studio like this. What artist printmakers don't understand and should understand, and I don't know why they don't do it, maybe it's because they're committees and I'm my own little Führer in here, is that it's got to be a pleasant environment to work in, because it's your work environment. Why the fuck would you want to make it ugly? So there's no strip lights, there's no grey concrete on the floor, there's no, what do you call them, cinder blocks. There's none of that shit in here. I make it as pretty as I can. It's a pigsty at the moment, but I was thinking to myself, well, at least you can see how it is as a working studio, you know? So so you get an idea. I mean, it could be like a sort of like an ideal ideal home show, but what would you learn? So this is it, warts and all. It's a pigsty at the moment. What the hell? Okay, so moving on. After Peter Holland, we've got a couple of slabs here for, these are glass slabs for inking up. This is where we keep the ink. Normally the rollers are up here, but they're all in use at the moment. Some of them are dry, which is my fault, and they need serious clean, which is a pain in the arse. If you're a grown-up, then you will use a proper kind of ink and clean up after every session. Because I have so many sessions in here, these slabs get scraped up about once a week, right? So you scrape up what's there, the tired old ink, onto little paper directories. You screw those up and they go in the bin. So when it comes to actual clean up with solvents, you use about a tablespoon, right? It cuts down on all the usage of all that. It's really handy. I use Vanson rubber-based ink still, although I've had problems with it in the past because it stays open and I'm a lazy bugger, you know, and actually having to clear up a linseed oil ink or an ink with cobalt or manganese dryers in it every day. Fuck that. I've got too much to do. This is Spartacus. This was the first nipper press I ever bought. As you can see, it's had a tough paper round in its time. It's pre-Victorian, as you can tell from the little knobby bit on the top there. Sometimes both of these are used at the same time. We do actually, this is ridiculous really if you think about it, in terms of wood engraving. There are enough wood engravers to be both printing at the same time. I'm immensely proud of that fact. Build it and they will come, as they say, and this is such a perfect place for wood engravers to hang out. So we've got one inking slab here, which is almost always used for black. This one is more for colours, because we do allow colour in here. I'm looking around at what we've got. These are antlers for burnishing. This is cobalt dryer for drying out ink. This is a little magnetic thing here to keep the push knives and the name of something that I can't remember, which is spatulas. There's that. There's a corner cupboard for chemicals. More chemicals here. These are dabbers, made by my mum, bless her, long dead. These are for applying hard ground to etching. This is the little etching area here. I've got a hot plate under here and a plate on top of it there for it to heat up. I've only got one etcher, and that'll do me actually, because they make such a bloody great big mess. They're a thoroughgoing nuisance. That's why when I left Spain, I switched to relief printing only, because I couldn't be bothered with A, the additioning of etching plates. It's just too much like hard fucking work, and B, the mess. God, because you can't use nitric acid. Nitric acid is too fucking toxic, it is. And also, when you're talking about etching plates, it etches like that. It doesn't etch straight down. So now we use, I can't remember what we call it. It's not Edinburgh Etch, is it? Yes, it is Edinburgh Etch, which is a mixture of citric acid and ferric chloride. I had to think about that for a moment. But we've only got one etcher here now, so it's a minimum of fuss. Here I've got some blocks of hard ground made right here from a recipe I got from, oh in fact no, that's not big, from a recipe I got from Norman Ackroyd. He passed down the recipe that that he got from Central St Martin's School, which was the one that the arts and crafts movement used for their etching. So it's a classic. And before you start, please don't start asking me for the recipe. I'll tell you what the recipe is now to head that one off. It's 40% bitumen, 40% beeswax, and 20% resin, as in the resin that you use for aquatint. Moving on, I think I need a bit of brandy actually. Would you just excuse me a moment, just stay there. Got a bit of a cough. Now we're coming on to, this is important actually. This is my polymetal JW80. It's called Bestia. All my presses have names. Bestia is Spanish for beast, because it is a beast. It's a big, massive, muscular thing, but also with the finest delicacy that you can possibly imagine for a press. It's a beautiful thing to handle. Cost me 4,500 quid second hand, but you need it, right? Because I was doing really large lino cuts, and I was burnishing them by hand. Sometimes it would take me 2 hours to burnish a print, and then in the last sort of like 5 seconds before you finished, you can tear the paper, and imagine what that feels like, right? With this, it takes about 10 seconds for that process to happen. So it's a non-brainer. If you can afford it, it's really important, right? If you're setting up a print studio, a collective print studio in particular, don't buy an etching press that will only do etchings. I'm not going to name brands or, you know, well, I want to, of course. Camera person's doing something with their eyebrows that suggests I should. I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to say, look, if they don't have that spring, they can fuck up your blocks big time. So you've got to make sure that whatever cylinder press you buy has got that spring, so it can take everything. It can do everything from monoprints and etchings through to, I wouldn't say wood blocks. I wouldn't risk it, but theoretically wood blocks as well. So basically in here it means intaglio plates and lino, basically big linos. That's what it's for generally. If you're setting up in your own studio, it's always good to have a kind of a signature press, a press that normally, I know I do it myself, it's really fucking cheesy, but here we are. It's normally used standing in front of your press to show how proud you are that you actually own a big fuck off press. Of course, a Colombian press or an Albion would be bloody lovely, but they only do the one thing. They make a plait and go bloop, bloop, like that on a block. So I need something that will do everything, and a polymetal just absolutely fits that bill because of the springs, because of the technology. It's a beautiful thing. I'm starting to feel slightly embarrassed about the mess, but this is what we've got here. Also, the thing about lighting, every studio I've ever visited, I don't know why they do it, because they're artists and they have an aesthetic sensibility. They always have fucking strip lights. Would you want to, okay, all right, let's just look at this like this. Would you like to live in a house of strip lights, right? Would you like to sit and relax, read a book and have a glass of something with strip lights on the ceiling? Would you? No, you wouldn't. So why the hell do you want it in your place of work? Part of what I designed here, I had little cutout figures for all of the presses and the benches that needed to be put in. And part of that equation was the lighting, where you place the lighting. So the lighting is designed to go over all of the work surfaces. It doesn't entirely do the job, but I'm doing my best with it. And so we have lights over one end of the press. Well, they're all on actually, aren't they? Yeah. We need all the help we can get in the United Kingdom. So we have lights, one end of the press, one of the other, so that we can see what we're doing. I have metal strips going along here. These are bindings to some sort of industrial process. I can't remember what it is. But I have neodymium magnets so that we can put so that we can put proofs up and smoke the metaphorical fag and put our feet up and have a little bit, think about pieces of work. So this is a display area for that, for people to look at their proofs, right? You just put them up with the magnets. Lovely thing, good idea. None of this is original, by the way. I've been around the block a few times, and I've seen most of these ideas in other studios. There are lots and lots of collective studios, all of which have good ideas, and I've tried to filter all of them and put them in one place. This I pinched off the street, and it's now home to the precious books. Most of the books in here are limited editions, they're hand printed, etc, etc. Wood engraving blocks, they're stored how they're supposed to be stored, with a bit of space around them. Down there how they're not supposed to be stored, which is chamfered up, but still on their end, so they're okay. Selection of skulls. I like a human skull. If anybody's got a human skull to sell me, I'm interested in that. A real one. Books, blah blah. Laughable first aid cabinet, which is sadly hardly ever used. I mean thankfully never used. Over to this bit. This was very important in the whole construction of the studio. Books. Fucking hell. This conflict has been going on for years about, you can just look it all up online. There's nothing quite like an artifact, is there? Eh? And they are quicker to find, and if you're teaching, flicking through a book is much, much, much more convenient than looking at something online. Screens are good, but they're not as good as paper. These are artifacts. They're part of the lineage. They're part of why we're here in the first place, because essentially we come from the printing industry. That's our antecedents. Then I've got a bench. This is the teaching bench, set up for 5 people at a time. I like the fact that it's a fucking pigsty at the moment, because you can see this is how it's left at the end of the day. So all these tools are out for demonstration. Books are out for demonstration. Here, this is a big stack of blocks for people to practice stuff on, so they don't fuck up their blocks, so they can have a tryout first, and so that I can demonstrate. Hundreds of proofs and prints all on the walls. A little early 20th century chinoiserie block for my Terry Burton registration pins. Another box for a selection of sweets. A reminder about how far we've come in terms of feminism, the Intelligent Woman's Guide to Atomic Radiation. How better it is now, isn't it? Women don't ever get patronised at all. A box for the reading glasses, because I've realised now that although we do still use loops, the most efficient way for somebody whose eyesight is not that good, the most efficient way to work up close is with a 3.5 reading glasses. That's important. File gouges. Some of you out there are still using red handled gouges. Don't do that anymore. Save up all your pennies and buy some file gouges, because you're only as good as your tools, and if you're working with shit tools, your results will only be as good as that, which is shit. These all have the numbers inscribed on the tops, right? Most common tool we use is a 12-1, so there's a lot of them. But so that you can choose which tool it is you need by the number. Moving on, we've got, this is the box for loops. Can you see loops spelled L-O-U-P-E-S? It's from the French. These are all the magnification tools. This here is a lovely new toy. This is what once upon a time would have been a light box. And now, oh, you haven't seen this, have you, Godsey? Fucking hell, I've got to show you that in a minute. That is just absolute magic. It does all sorts of different things, and you can copy everything in moments, and it's really cheap as well. I'll show you that after we've finished, right? And then this is something that I laughingly call the Captain's Nook. This is where I sit. It's slightly higher up to show my social superiority. And I've got a tablet here, and then room to work, and then a lovely 1960s drawing board, which is up really high so that I can work really close to my work, especially if I'm working on engraving. Then we've got hundreds of boxwood blocks here, yet more bloody books here, etching tools here, engraving tools here, larger lino cut tools here, Victorian tools here, sundry tools, I love the word sundry tools here, and frivolous decoration. I reckon that's about it. I didn't show you the drinks cabinet, but then that's my business, isn't it? Okay, so saying goodbye from Black Pig Printmaking Studio. Good night. Cheers. Turn it off now.